Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is a new day, and I want to say welcome to our YouTube class. And for today, I want to talk about the the plant kingdom. We've talked about the animal kingdom, and we have exhausted all the different phyla that are found within the animal kingdom. So today, we want to look at the plant kingdom and look at some of the categories of organisms that are found there, even though we are not going to study all of them. So when it comes to the plant kingdom, we have a various uh, divisions or categories of the plant kingdom. Of course, we have the first one, which is called the schizophyta. And when we talk about the schizophyta, we're talking about the bacteria and the blue-green algae. The bacteria and the blue-green algae. Then we advance into the other category of the plant kingdom that is called the thallophyta. Another thallophyta will have what is called the fungi and the algae. And this time I'm talking about the eukaryotic algae. We'll still look at the differences between the two different types of algae. Then we advance into the next group of plants, which is called the bryophyta. In this bryophyta, that's where you see the mosses and the liverwort and the horned liverwort, which is called antherozoa. Then, of course, we advance into the next one, which is called the pteridophyta. And in pteridophyta, that is where you see the Dryopteris, the Lycopodium or the ferns, and the rest of them. Then, of course, the last and the most advanced group of the plant kingdom is the one we call the spermatophyta. Another spermatophyta, that is where you see the seed-bearing plants, the gymnosperms and the angiosperms. The gymnosperms are naked seeded plants. Then the angiosperms are a group of plants whose seeds are covered. And that covering is what we call a fruit. We're going to look at all this in details. But for today's class, we want to look at the second category that I mentioned, which is the thallophyta. And under thallophyta, like I rightly said, we have two different groups of plants. We have the algae and we have fungi. So we want to discuss the algae and also discuss fungi. Uh, However, the discussion for fungi will be the next class. So I want to use this time to specifically talk about this group of plant kingdom that is called the algae. And as we can see here, one of the first characteristics is the fact that they are photosynthetic, or can use the word autotrophic. That means that algae sustain the ability to produce their own food. Even though majority of algae are autotrophic, meaning that they sustain the ability to produce their own food, we still have few examples. Serratium, for instance, dinoflagellates, the Euglena. These are few examples of algae that are also heterotrophic. Sometimes they alternate, like the Euglena, alternate between the autotrophic mode and the heterotrophic mode. Then we also have some that they become heterotrophic all through their life, like the dinoflagellates. So, majority of members of this group are photosynthetic, they are autotrophic, and this means that they can produce their own food. And like I said, we also have just few examples of them that behave like animals in the sense that they lack the ability to produce their own food. Then aquatic habitats. The major habitats of members of this group is the marine environment, or let me say the aquatic environment. You can see some of them in the marine environment, while some can also be seen in the freshwater environment. So that is their major habitat. Then simple body structure. It's important we understand that even though this group of organisms are called plants, they are not specialized and advanced like the mainland plants. And that is why they are said to have simple body structure. Like I said, they fall under the group we call the thallophyta. Thallophyta. So this means that they have a very simple body structure, and this is also similar with fungi in the sense that their body cannot be differentiated or is not differentiated into stem, root, and leaf. So there is no part of an algae, even though it's called plant, there is no part of an algae that you can call leaf. Just like we have in the land plants, there is no part of an algae you can call stem, just like we have in the land plants. There is no part of an algae you can call roots, just like we have in the land plants. And that is why they are said to have a very, very simple body structure. Then, okay, I've mentioned autotrophic nutrition is similar to what we have in photosynthetic. That means that they can produce their own their own food. Autotrophy and heterotrophy exist in both. I've mentioned that. Then diverse morphology. This group of organism, is one of the uh, group of plants that have diverse morphology. That means they have different shapes and structure, even though they are all in the same group of organisms called algae, but you can see them, having or presenting different shapes and structures. Then, of course, different pigments. There are different kinds of pigments that are found in members of this group. We have the one they call the xanthophyll, we have the carotenoid, then we now have the chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll will have different categories. We have chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, chlorophyll C, and chlorophyll D. As we go into the different divisions of algae, that is where you see these different types of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, chlorophyll C, and chlorophyll D. For instance, we discover that chlorophyll A and C, A and B, A and B are found in chlorophyta. Then if you go to chlorophyta, I found the chlorophyta, yes, chlorophyta. Then if you go to chrysophyta and the phaeophyta and bacillidophyta, that is where you see chlorophyll A and C. Then if you now go to the red algae, which are called the phaeophyta, the rhodophyta, you now see chlorophyll A, and we will still look at some of these when we get to division. So they have different pigments that are found within them. Then we also have reproduction. So members of this group can reproduce both sexually and asexually. They can reproduce both sexually and asexually. The sexual reproduction is through various methods such as isogamy, then anisogamy, then ugamy. So when we say isogamy, that means that the contacting gametes the fusing gametes are of the same shape and size. Iso means equal. So that is what we mean by the isogamy. And of course, the most advanced form of reproduction in algae is the oogamy. Okay, let me continue from isogamy. So in isogamy, these are usually found in primitive algae where the gametes are not differentiated into male and female. So they just have gametes. You can't call it a male, you can't call it a female gamete. However, the gametes can fuse together. And these gametes, once they fuse, of course, they form a zygote. And the gametes can have equal shape and equal size. So those gametes with equal shape and size are said to be isogamy. Then the opposite of isogamy is anisogamy. Aniso means unequal. So the sizes are not equal in the case of anisogamy. There is this element, or let me say condition, medical condition they call anisocentesis. That is when the blood cells are of different shapes, probably due to lack of vitamin and what have you. So anytime you hear aniso, it means unequal, unequal, unequal. Then we'll have the ugami. So in the case of ugami, this says so like I tried to explain earlier. In the case of ugami, you discover that the gametes are advanced, and because they're advanced, they are non-differentiated into male and female. And this kind of reproduction is usually found in advanced algae. So in this case now, the female gamete is non-motile, whereas the male gamete is motile, and the female gamete is usually larger. So there is fusion of this male and female gamete through a process called ugamy. So in ugamy, there are differentiated male and female gametes. So that's reproduction in algae. Then, of course, uh, uh, when it comes to asexual reproduction, this can occur through fragmentation. Yes, this can occur through a fragmentation of the thallus or the body of algae. Then the last characteristic here is the fact that there is no vascular system. Vascular system. Yes, even though they are called plants, but they are not advanced to begin to possess the vascular system, or what they call the vascular bundle. And of course, this vascular bundle includes the xylem and the phloem. The xylem which helps in the absorption of water, and phloem that helps in the absorption of nutrients. So this is not found in algae. A minute. Okay, so having discussed this now, the next thing I would like us to look at is uh, prokaryotic and eukaryotic algae. So, algae can be divided into two major groups. We'll have the algae that is called prokaryotic algae, and we'll have the type that is called the eukaryotic algae. When you say that an algae is prokaryotic, that means that it does not have a well-formed nucleus, it does not have a definite nucleus, and does not also have a membrane-bound organelle, unlike the case of eukaryotic that have a definite nucleus and also have a membrane-bound organelle. When we say algae, not all algae are included under the eukaryotic algae. Like I said, under the classification of plants, we said we have schizophyta, schizophyta, thallophyta, bryophyta, pteridophyta, spermatophyta. So, under this classification of plants, you discover that the blue, the prokaryotic algae, even though it's still called algae, but it's grouped under schizophyta. So under schizophyta, you see bacteria and blue-green algae. This blue-green algae is also called the cyanobacteria. The cyanobacteria is also called the cyanobacteria. So this is where you see blue-green algae. Even though they are still called algae, but they are not classified under this thallophyta. They are classified under schizophyta because of their similarity with bacteria. They do not have a definite nucleus, and they also don't have a membrane-bound organelle. So the eukaryotic algae are now classified under thallophyta. So the kind of algae we want to study today, I'll just list the examples of the blue-green algae. Then we'll now begin to study the eukaryotic algae because that's the major reason why we're here. So I mentioned schizophyta, thallophyta, bryophyta. 1, 2, 3 are normally regarded as a lower plant. These ones are regarded as higher plants. The reason is because these ones do not have vascular bundles. They do not have vascular bundles. Then these ones have vascular bundles. We'll still look at these things in details as we go forward. So examples of prokaryotic algae are microcystis, nostoc, anabaena, Crococcus, sp, 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 sp. So these are, excuse me. So these are the examples of the prokaryotic algae. So having known prokaryotic algae, we can now begin to study the eukaryotic algae. Excuse me. So under what do you call it again now? Under eukaryotic algae, we look at divisions of eukaryotic algae. Divisions. We have chlorophyta. Division chlorophyta. We have Euglenophyta. We have Bacillariophyta. We have Chrysophyta. We have Phaeophyta. We have Rhodophyta. So these are the divisions, the 6 main divisions of eukaryotic algae. So we're going to look at them one after the other. We're going to look at them one after the other, starting with the first one, which is the chlorophyta. So chlorophyta has about 3 classes. We have chlorophyceae, we have charophyceae, we have Prasinophyceae. So these are the classes, of the classes of eukaryotic algae. Then these classes now, of course, some of the characteristics that their cell wall is made up of cellulose, and of course, this is the content of the cell wall of land plants, so you can see them. Then their photosynthetic food reserve is starch, the same with land plants. So this group of algae have very similar characteristics with the land plants. So then in terms of chlorophyll, you can see chlorophyll A and B in this group of plants, chlorophyll A and B. So these are some of their major features. Then this class called chlorophyceae has many others. As a matter of fact, this is the most diverse, or the class that contains the most diverse group of algae that are morphologically different. So we have the main known examples of algae are found within chlorophyta, and another chlorophyta within the class chlorophyceae. I know usually ceae is used to denote family, but in this case, this ceae is used to denote a class, the class of chlorophyta. So there are some exceptions to that biological rule. So some of the others under the class chlorophyceae are, we have alveolus, we have alba, we have eulotrichus, we have Eurotris, we have Volvoceus, we have Volvos, we have Chlamydomonadeus, we have Chlamydomonas. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then which other one? Odogoneus. What the one they call Odogoneus. We have Odogonia. Then what again? We have Zygnemateus. I think this is where you see the Spirogyra. But I'll say confirm. Yes, that's correct. You see Spirogyra here. Then what again we have we have chlorococcus. Chlorococcus. I hope you're seeing this clearly. Okay, chlorococcus. Okay, I've seen it clearly. Chlorococcus. Then cowlapils. Cowlapils. Example, cowlapa. Cowlapa. Yes, cowlapa sp. Cowlapa sp. So these are the different orders that are found under chlorophyta. Chlorophyta. Okay, we are done with chlorophyta now. Let's now go into the second division, which is called the, what's it called again? The Euglenophyta. Under this division, like I mentioned earlier, you see euglena. And euglena can alternate between being autotrophic to being heterotrophic. So it can produce its own food, it can also depend on already produced food. So the major characteristics of members of this group is that they lack cell wall. They lack cell wall, and but they have what they call pliable periplast. They have what is called pliable periplast covering the body, and it's called pellicle. Pellicle. They have pliable periplast covering the body, which is called pellicle. So that is it. The class is Euglenophysea. So they have a class called Euglenophyta. This division has a class called Euglenophyta. What again? The kind of chlorophyll is A and B. Of course, like I said, they can be autotrophic and can also be heterotrophic. So they have a chlorophyll A and B. I think that's the major characteristics we have major in this group. They also have eye spots. Yes, they have eye spots. Remember that they can assume the position of a plant and also the position of an animal. So we are done with this one. So the next group is the Bacillariophyta. These ones are called the Diatoms. Bacillariophyta. They are called the Diatoms. So in their cell wall, you see silica and pectin. Then their photosynthetic food reserve is what they call chrysolaminarine. That means that they don't store their food in form of starch, but in form of chrysolaminarine. Then they have chlorophyll A and C. The characteristics of these ones are called the diatoms. Those group of organisms we call the diatoms. They are found under Bacillariophyta. Then we have Chrysophyta. 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 This should be Chlorophyta was the first, Euglenophyta second, this is the third, then Chrysophyta is the third. So they have the same silica in their cell wall. They also have their photosynthetic food reserve called chrysolaminarin. Then they also have chlorophyll A and C. So you can discover that members of this group and members of this group, they have similar things in common. They have similar things in common. And these ones are called the golden brown algae. Let me be sure. The Chrysophyta. Yes, they are called the golden brown algae, like I mentioned. The Chrysophyta, the golden brown algae. So we are done with Chrysophyta. We'll now look at the last one, the last two groups. But then before we look at the last two groups, let's look at the classes. Well, then this ones have two classes. The Chrysophyceae and the Haplophyceae. Chrysophyceae and Haplophyceae. Then of course the class of Bacillariophyta is Bacillariophyceae. So sometimes you can use the name of the division to coin the class. Then the last one is the last two groups. The last two groups are called the advanced algae. These ones are the advanced algae. The advanced algae. We have the Phaeophyta. These ones are called the brown algae. The brown algae. Their chlorophyll is masked with another pigment that turns the body of the plant to be brown in color. Then their photosynthetic food reserve, their chlorophyll is A and C. They say have chlorophyll A and C. Then they also have fucoxanthin that mask. This is the color that mask the chlorophyll in them, the fucoxanthin. Just a minute. So, like I said, the chlorophyll A and C are being masked by this fucoxanthin, and that's actually the pigment that makes them to be brown in color. So they have chlorophyll A and C masked. Mask is covered, masked by fucoxanthin. Then they have photosynthetic food reserve mannitol. Mannitol. They have what's called the mannitol arginic acid. I hope that is correct. Arginic acid. Sorry, this is called sugar alcohol. Sugar alcohol. Mannitol sugar alcohol. So these are their photosynthetic food reserve. For firefighter. So they store their food in the form of mannitol or sugar alcohol. So what again? I'm just trying to pick the salient points. The most important points when they come to this group. The most important point, that's what I'm trying to pick out. Then they have three classes. The first one is called isogenerati, or have heterogenerati, cyclopori, cyclopori, isogenerati, heterogenerati, and cyclopori. So these are the classes. These are the classes. So the cell wall contains cellulose, just like you see in chlorophyta and the land plant. Their cell wall have cellulose. So this is the photosynthetic food reserve. Then this is the pigment A and C being covered by this fucoxanthin, which turns the color to be brown. This is the photosynthetic food reserve. Then these are the classes. So these are the few points about four salient points. The cellulose is found in the cell wall. The last group is called the rhodophyta. The rhodophyta. The rhodophyta. Now under this group, the rhodophyta, these ones are called the red algae. The red algae. They also have cellulose in their cell wall. They have chlorophyll A and D. They have chlorophyll A and D. Chlorophyll A and D. Then they store their food in the form of a starch they call foridine starch. Foridine starch. They store their food. Their photosynthetic food reserve is in a form called foridine starch. Foridine starch. Then A and D, cellulose in their cell wall. Okay. Cellulose in their cell wall. Okay. I think these are the major. These ones are called the red algae. I know you know what is called alga. Alga. So alga is a food. Is a culture medium that is used in the growth of microorganisms. It's made from this group of algae called the rhodophyta, the red algae. There's this algae they call gelidium or something. Gelidium. Also have porphyra. Porphyra is eaten as food in Japan. They take porphyra as food in Japan. Then this alga is made from this gelidium. Okay, so these are examples of red algae. We have many other examples of red algae. And I think these are the only thing we need to know when it comes to algae. So I mentioned that the cell wall has cellulose. Okay, I think this is where we'll stop for the study of algae. In our next class, we'll be looking at fungi, and after fungi, we'll go into bryophyta, and that is where we'll end the study of plants that are called the lower plants. We'll now begin again with the study of pteridophyta. I will get to spermatophyta. Thank you once more for being part of this class. See you in my next class.